Okay. Could you please state your name and who you are?
Yes. Do you want my first name too? My name is Ms.Bright, and I am an inclusion teacher here at Blanson CT.
Okay. So today I brought you here to ask you a couple questions about just some things that I see that you do around here and like what it is that you actually do around here. That's actually one of my first questions is what do you do here at Blanson?
Okay, so like I stated in my intro, I'm an inclusion teacher. So what that means is I push into the classrooms. I guess the best way for me to explain it is I have a caseload, and in those classrooms where the teacher might need more assistance with students in that classroom, that's what I'm there to do. Some students think that I'm like a teacher's aide or I'm not really a teacher, but nope, my title is a teacher. I get paid just like every other teacher does. I've been doing this for 8 years. This is my 8th year. I've been at Blanson since it opened. Started at Carver, did that for 2 years. And then my second role here is the senior class class sponsor. Cut that part. Senior class sponsor. I just am a bridge for the officers in the senior class. If they want to do activities, I just take that to, admin to get them to approve stuff that they want to do here on campus to kind of keep the morale boosted. But it's really, up to them. I kind of just help them decide on ideas and stuff like that.
So you do more than one thing.
I do more than one thing, yes. I wear many a hats.
How did you like get into this position? Like you did say you teach before, like how did you actually get into teaching to begin with?
Yeah, so I've always had a passion for youth, like teaching youth, mentoring youth. I think that comes from, being a Christian, and that is just where my heart is, helping people. That is my love language, is helping and giving and serving. I studied juveniles in college, and I always thought that I would be working with, your age range in prisons or in jails, and that's where I started off. I did juvenile probation before I was a teacher, and I didn't want to work with them after they got in trouble. I wanted to work with them before they got in trouble. So I thought that I could get my teaching certificate, because I didn't go to school to be a teacher. So I just did the fast track, got my teaching certificate, and I'm able to like fulfill my passion and my yearning to just support youth in this way.
So it was just always under that
Oh
youth
yeah,
umbrella.
it was always in me. When I was in 5th grade, I had some teachers that I really admired, and I kind of thought maybe I would be a teacher. But I think the way that I grew up, I initially wanted to be a police officer. Like from as long as I could remember, I wanted to be a police officer. I wanted to be just a visual part of my community. I wanted to be there to help my community, to represent my community. I had police officers in my community that I could lean on, that I needed help with, just in my circumstances that I was in, things that I was dealing with. That made a huge impact on my life. And so that was like where my mindset was going, and that's why I chose to study that in college, and specifically, with juveniles and with youth. And then in college, we had some guest speakers come in, specifically juvenile probation officers, so I decided that was the route that I was going to take. I did that for a little bit out of college, decided that I just didn't want to do that. I couldn't really form the relationships that I wanted to. They just don't trust you as much because they're coming to me when they're in trouble versus before they're getting in trouble. Like, how can I help them before they take that next step of getting in trouble, right? So I was just there to reprimand them. I wasn't there to really help them afterward, So yeah, it's always been in me to help and serve the underserved and just youth specifically.
So knowing more about your background and like who you actually are, and like now that we have a bit more context about that, I want to move into more about like what you do for the seniors. So one of my questions is: does helping the seniors have their quote unquote perfect senior year bring you some type of enjoyment, like seeing them live that like perfect senior year? I guess.
Yeah. For me, the most fun part is when an event comes together and I'm seeing not just the seniors, but all of the students having fun, laughing, just enjoying that moment with their friends. Just everyone at school coming together, enjoying the event as a whole. I love seeing you guys in your element and just being able to enjoy the fruits of the labor of all the planning, everything that went into it, and then just knowing that it was, it was your idea that we brought here and everyone's enjoying it. We can't please everyone. I wish everyone would come to all of the events. But for me, that's the biggest thing is like we're bringing you laughs and enjoyment, and it's something that's outside of school. I wish we could have something every weekend or every month even. But yeah, that's the biggest thing for me is just seeing you guys smile and happy.
And these events that you're speaking of, these came up with by the seniors, correct?
By the seniors, though?
Yeah.
I don't have time to create all of the ideas.
And I'm wondering, did your senior year when you were in high school play into part of like how you want to help these seniors now?
Yeah. For me, we had sports obviously at my high school. So my school is a little more like a traditional high school. It was bigger than this. My senior year was a bit stressful for me. I was more involved my freshman through my junior year. Senior year, I ended up having to get a job, so I had to step back. But I do remember all of the spirit weeks. They were so fun. We did have pep rallies. Those are some things that we don't have here, but we have spirit in different ways. And our students are involved in different ways. But yeah, I think I do kind of lean on those memories to bring fresh ideas here that maybe some of our students or some of our officers don't think about. But it's just technology's changing, and y'all have TikTok and just all of the things that y'all look at for inspiration.
More resources.
Yeah, so I'll drop an idea, but then you guys just run with it. So
That's really good to hear, actually, that you really care and like this is not something that's just on the fly type of thing.
yeah, if it would, yeah, I wouldn't do it if I didn't care.
Yeah. Well, we know that you like the vast majority of the students that you work with are seniors, and does it like hurt you in a way seeing those seniors graduate after each year and like dealing with a whole new group each year? Like,
Oh yeah, I think it gets harder too because, some classes it's easier than others. I'll say that. You get connected, you form connections. With some, it's just easier. Different personalities. Everyone vibes differently. Some people are more invested than others. But yeah, you form these connections and they're like your children. I don't have any children by any means. I'm not anyone's mom or parent. But yeah, you form these connections and you want them to go be great, and you can see their potential, and you know what they're capable of. And it's nice to stay in contact. It's nice to see them outside of school. It's nice to see them grow and flourish, and I just get emotional every time I see them or get a little check-in from them.
but when you first signed onto this position, was this what you expected, that it will all come into with like?
Oh no, you can never predict, what's going to happen. Yeah, it's just hard to know how emotionally invested I think you're gonna get into it. I'll be transparent. I don't think that teaching is something that I will do long term, but I think the thing that has kept me here the longest, or each year coming back, are the students. That's the biggest thing, because you don't want to leave them. You form those connections, and like I said, my joy comes from the students. It's not anything else. Like, I don't come to work every day to do paperwork, or to see to see my peers here, or my, you know, my coworkers. It's to serve you guys, and to see you guys smile. Every day is a different day. There's always new stories, there's always new challenges, but those come within you guys. You know, the challenges of my day-to-day tasks, those are pretty much the same, but it's the new challenges that you guys bring me.
When you first, what's the title of your position that you work with the seniors?
It's the lead senior class sponsor.
So when you were, when you first heard about being the sponsor for the seniors, was it something you were originally like interested in, or was it something that you kind of had to think about?
Yeah, so I can't remember what year it was. I can't remember if it was the COVID year or right before that. I remember that Miss Sheffield was doing it. And I just worked closely with her. I would just volunteer for the events, kind of just helping her, kind of just be her right-hand gal whenever she needed me to do stuff. And then when it was time for her to take a step back, because she had a lot on her plate, she just asked, I think she put out a survey like, hey, who wants to help, or, you know, and I responded. And then I think she asked, would you mind taking over? I'm going to be out for a little bit, just taking over like while I'm out. Yeah, that's fine. And then I think I just eased into just doing it. I think it came like a little natural. I already had a relationship with those students that was already built there. We had already been working together on stuff. Kind of just always being at the events made it a little easier for them to like meet with me. So yeah, it was an easy transition for sure. It has its struggles. I am overwhelmed often. I am burnt out early. That comes with the title, but someone has to do it. And I think every year it does get a little bit more difficult. Some events, like Trunk or Treat, for example, gets easier to plan every year because we've had it every year. But my role is really based off of how much the senior class, or how much the officer's effort is. Like I said, I am just here as a liaison. I'm just here as just a support system. So if things aren't happening, it's because there's nothing happening on, you know, the class as a whole. It's not happening on that front. Like, I'm one person, and it's not, I'm not a senior, right? So yeah, like not to be like negative or anything about it, but that's where the challenge comes in, because everyone's like, when are we doing this, or when is our next thing? And I'm like,
it's up to you.
Ask your classmates. Like, let's plan. Come to me with the meeting. Like, you guys are seniors now. You guys can take charge. You guys can hold meetings. You know, just tell me when it is, and I'll be there. That's what the sponsor is supposed to do.
So knowing that there are some negatives that come with holding that position, like, and I know you talked about like you like to see the kids smile and like to see them doing good and be good in their element. But what is your favorite thing besides that about that position, about this position?
My favorite thing besides seeing you guys happy? I mean, if your favorite thing is your favorite thing, that's your favorite thing. I don't know. I mean, that's my favorite thing. Are you asking for like my second favorite thing?
I mean, I don't know. Like, besides seeing the seniors happy and, you know, being able to enjoy their senior year, what else brings you enjoyment with working with the seniors?
I can say that I like pushing them and challenging them to be leaders. I enjoy pushing them outside of their comfort zones. Knowing that when they're uncomfortable in a situation, or when I see them kind of struggling with something, encouraging them to kind of step up and making sure that they aren't hesitant to, you know, be young adults, because that's what they're going into, to try to prepare them for the next steps. I think that's really important, and to not, you know, baby them, or just like hand hand them things or spoon feed them things.
Which that all completely makes sense. That's another part of them being a senior and like you're graduating. So
Yeah.
it's something they have to be prepared for. And I feel like that's a good thing that you're being able to work with them and help them progress through that.
Yeah.
I do want to know, like, so we know you deal with seniors every year. Do you still communicate with them, like, after they graduate? Like, do you still talk to them?
Yeah, for sure. So that was what I was saying before, is how getting those little check-ins from them, little life updates, that I think that's what brings me the most joy is after they graduate. Last year's senior class was incredible. They were so just full of life, and they didn't take things too seriously here at school. And that's what it's all about, you know. They had fun while they were here, but they knew that there was a next chapter ahead, and they were looking forward to that. And they took care of business while they were here, but looking forward to like what's next and how do we get there and how do we make that better for them, you know. So yeah, communicating with all of them. I check in with them quite often. All of them are in school taking classes. Some of them are spread out all over the country, so it is so exciting. They'll be back for Thanksgiving, so we're gonna have a little meetup, and I just think they're just lovely. And them being all girls, they took control, and they rocked it. So yeah.
And when you're speaking of them, you're speaking of the officers.
The officers, yes, sorry.
Okay, yeah, you're fine. What did you go to college for, actually? Because I know originally you said you didn't go to college for to be a teacher, but it's something that you're in now. And we know that a lot of students senior year are stressing about, oh, what should I major in next year, and things of that nature. And it's like, do you feel like that's an easy choice to make? Well, I mean, sorry. Obviously, we know it's not an easy choice to make, but how do you know what choice to make?
Yeah, so I think first, I do want to say that college is not for everyone. And I think here at Blanson that we kind of foster that idea, right? Because you can go straight into the workforce, you can go to college, you have that decision, and we, at least me, and I hope others don't really make it as stressful that you have to go to college. That you kind of you have that choice, right? For me, I didn't really feel like I had a choice. There wasn't anything that I felt like I could do straight out of high school that was going to get me anywhere in life. So I studied criminal justice, specifically juvenile delinquency was what I studied. So that was what was interesting to me. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew where I wanted to go, and I knew I had to go to college to do those things, right? So 4 years. I mean, I didn't like college. I didn't like school. School was never my thing. I went to school to get away from the house and to stay off the streets. That's why I went to school. I didn't go because I was good at it. I didn't go because I was the smartest. I was never that kid.
It was more of a
School was an escape for me, but then once I got to college, I was never good at it. I was just good enough to get through, to get by. It was just something I knew I had to do. It was a smart decision for me. I didn't have opportunities like Blanson. There wasn't schools like this where I came from. There wasn't trade schools or anything like that I was privy to or had the opportunity to be a part of.
So we know that you are here at Blanson and you do what you do. But if you weren't here, would you still be working with juveniles with your degrees in, or what would you be doing?
So I don't think that I would be using my degree per se for my career. I think that I would do more volunteer work. I would love to get back into the jails and kind of mentoring students in jail. I also did that before. I just did it for a short period of time, and I really enjoyed that. And it was specifically mentoring through just my Christian faith. I think that's something that's important to me. And that is like the baseline of my mentorship. That is just how I mentor. So I would love to get back to that. And I think I would be in the business world somewhere. I would not be teaching now.
Would you enjoy it?
Would I enjoy the business world?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
We did talk about how seniors have to look forward to moving on to the next chapter in life. Well, what's the next chapter for you in life? Like, if you were to leave teaching today, what would you want to go do?
Well, hopefully my husband's out there somewhere. If you could just blast this to everyone, maybe he'll find me. Next chapter for me. Who knows? Maybe it's not teaching. Maybe it's teaching forever. I mean, if I'm being transparent, hopefully it's not that. But not because I don't like y'all. No, I think it's hopefully marriage, kids, settling down, slow life. Finding something else, and then getting back to volunteering my time working with youth instead of feeling like it's my obligation. Or like it's my job. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. That is all the questions that I have for you today. I really do appreciate you meeting with me. And
Thank you.
yeah.